Hi student, continues Air Law, Lecture 3, Air Transportation. If you know air to explain about this is lecture. Number 1, interior and international air transport. The interior air transport contract, the case of successive carriage, and should to talk about the obligation of the parties of the contract of carriage by air. Finally, we are talking legal regime on contracts for international sales of goods by air, Warsaw Convention 1929. It should to know what the meaning of transport. In generally, transport or transportation is the movement of humans, animals, and goods from one location to another, or other words, the action of transport is defined as a particular movement of an organized or things from a point to a point B. Modes of transport include air, land, water, capable, pipeline, and space. Transport air. Air transportation, it meaning the movement of passengers and freight by any conveyance that can sustain controlled flight. Air transport related to the purpose of air navigation and also purpose of publicity, advertising, and sport, as well as state aircraft. Air transport have lots of characteristics because it is easy to carry passenger and the goods from country to another country speed, and also safety, and lots of carry of special kinds of goods. Actually, the Egyptian legislature organized the rules of air transportation from Article 284 to 299 in the trade law, and also there are specific sources belong to the air law. And second one, the law of trade 1999 has the rules of air transportation plus the general air. Law are considered a source of legislation of the civil air and to view. When we talk about ship transportation or maritime law or maritime transportation and air transportation and a road and the land, all this is transportation is work, or the work is commercial, and also anyone working from this transportation also considered a merchant. The work of air navigation is a commercial, the operation according to Article 6 of Trade Law. This is article talking. Anyone working at commercial transaction like a transportation, whatever, ship, an aircraft, and maintains, fixing, provision, air transport, loading and discharging, and the contracts of the crew are commercial operation. From this is commercial operation, if anyone working from this is commercial, considered merchant, and have lots of characteristics of the merchant and also the obligations. The second, the circle of carriage rules of the carriage, some of the carriage of goods, others the carriage of person or passengers, and some belongs to commissioner of the carriage. يبقى I have two characteristics of air transportation: الcommercial, a circle of carriage. Now we are talking air transport. I have two types of air transport: interior and international. According to Article 285 of Trade Law, the rules of air transport divided two different kinds: internal and international. The Egyptian legislature organized the rules transportation 284 to 299. All these articles including internal and external or international. These articles, we can say there are specific sources belong to the air law according to the tendency of Egyptian legislature. Now we are explain the interior air transport contract. Actually, Egyptian legislator in Article 285 para 2 provides what the meaning of interior transport. The provisions of this section and specific rules provided that successive articles apply to interior. Interior, this is inside the country, and also explain the element of the country of the contract. Firstly, we are talking contract. It means agreement, a legally bind agreement between two parts. Legislator in the trade law don't define the elements of the contract because this is contract or elements of any contract like content, cause, object. The same elements of air transport, and also didn't explain or define the parties. So when the legislator exposed to this contract mentioned the object. The object to movement the passengers and the goods from place to another place. The parties of the contract are the carrier and the passenger or the shipper in case transport goods. يبقى now no difference between essential elements of the contract. Number one, consent between the parts. Parties in this contract, carrier and passengers. Third, it's not important the carrier, owner of the aircraft or agent or the company or a firm. And also it's not important the passenger or the shipper is a citizen or a foreigner or any person. According to Article 284 of the trade law provides the package if the thing is authorized to the passengers. So the Egyptian legislature we are talking passenger يعني any interior transport air passengers package and luggage to carry. This is from place to another place. And now we are talking consideration. Consideration, it means a result from this contract. Consideration in the contract lodge in the obligation of the air carrier to perform his obligation and the obligation to the passengers. This is a consideration. If I have any contract have obligation and rights. يبقى الكارير have obligation and rights, and also the passengers have obligation and rights. The obligation of the carrier to carry passenger and to give it the passenger a ticket, and to take all reasonable care from to have safety to passengers, and also the obligation of the passenger to pay the price of the ticket, and also to pay the price of threat. Second elements of interior air transport, the points of interior. Egyptian legislator defined in Article 285 the meaning of interior flight. It provides that the air transport will be interior if the 2 points defined by the parts to departure and destination lodge. It should the carrier explain how determine how to make for 2 points, how to know the passengers place point A or to point B, or the first terminal and last terminal, or in other words, the aircraft continues voyage after define the point destination beyond the Egyptian territorial boundaries, or this is voyage inside the Egyptian territorial boundaries. And also important to note to apply the test mentioned to above. Number one, a transport must be an aircraft. Second, a contract of air transport must be existed if there is no contract. Third, this is a contract include the place of departure and the place of arrival. This is essential elements of interior air transport. Now we are talking second classifications of air transport and international air transports. Before we explain the international air transports, it should to explain how to mention the scope of application of Warsaw Conventions. Definitely, the Egyptian legislature provides in Article 285 para 1 as to the international air transport, the rules of international conventions are enforced in Egypt. Or another meaning, the Egyptian legislature applicable all the rules of Warsaw Conventions 1929 at Egypt or at trade law. According Article 1, Para 1 of Convention Warsaw, provides that conventions applies to the international carriage of persons, luggage, or goods performed by aircraft forward. It applies equally to carriage by aircraft performed by an air transport undertaking. From this article, we are explain and mention and determine all conditions of air transport or international air transport. Now, international carriage, persons, luggage. Second, it should to carry passengers with luggage, with goods by aircraft. Okay, and in another sides, it should the persons to pay the price of ticket or to pay reward. Okay, now plus a definition of international air transport, also Warsaw Conventions at Article 1, Para 2 provides that for purpose of these conventions to tell what the meaning of international carriage. According this is article means any carriage in which, according to the contract made by the parties, contract legally bind agreement between the carrier and the passengers with carrier to carry a passenger or goods from the place departure and arrival within territories of contracting parties or within the territory of a single high contracting party. If there is an agreed stopping place within a territory subject to the sovereignty or any place, even so that power is not part of these conventions. It should write everything from an international carriage from point or limited point to another, or first terminal and the last terminal, or another sides or another words from the departure and destination, or the place of destination or arrival. Now, Article 1 of Warsaw Convention 1929 explain how, to put it, three fundamental elements applicable from this convention: air carriage passengers, baggage or goods. Second, air carriage is qualified as international. The air carriage is done forward. Now we are explain first items or the first fundamental conditions of Warsaw Conventions. Number one, air carriage of passengers, package or goods. Warsaw Convention talking about which kind or which types to carry passengers, package and goods. Legislator or Egyptian legislators provides in Article 284 of the Trade Law, the air transport is the branch of the transport of persons, luggage, or goods. And also talking about, and this subject applicable or includes persons and things, or it doesn't make a specific rule. Second, of essential conditions at Warsaw Convention 1929, the international air carriage. International, it means traveling from country to another country or the place to another place. Article 1, Para 2 of Warsaw Convention provides that purpose of these conventions to making facilities of all commercial transactions. And also we are talking everything about this is traveling from place to another place to facilities commercial transactions. The air carriage is done forward. Without road, I can't say I have air transport contract or carriage contract. This is road because the option or the functions of the carrier, it depends on the road, because this is because the carrier making commercial transactions in order to gain a profit. Without profit, I can't say in the transport this is commercial. Warsaw Convention is applicable to all international carriage done forward. This is essential elements. This is the all essential condition. It depends on the commercial acts. Nevertheless, in view of applying Warsaw Convention, the international air carriage And also, the convention shall be applicable even when the reward collected covers only the cost and expense. يبقى this is reward including البرايس, البروفيت, and if happen any expense without intention to realize any profit. Elements of air transport or international air transport. Now we are talking new topic, the case of successive carriage. According Article 1 Para 3 of Warsaw Convention 1929 provides that a carriage to be performed by several successive air carriers is deemed for the purpose of the convention to be one undivided carriage if it has been regarded by the parties. What the meaning of this is article? This is article talking about carry passengers or goods or luggage from terminal, specific terminal, sometimes by road, and transfer to the land or by rail and last aircraft. It means several successive air carriers or carry goods or passengers from like Cairo to Dubai or Abu Dhabi to Malaysia, like that, or from France to American and to Morocco, like that. This means several successive. Yes, many loss of transportation of one voyage. Successive transport, it means a single operation, whether it had been agreed upon under the form of single contract or a series contract and it does not lose. This is the main successive case. At international character merely because one contract of the series of contracts to be performed entirely within a territory. Now we are talking second point of types: air transport, international contract carriage by air. What the meaning of international contract carriage by air? International contract carriage by air, it means an agreement between the consignor or owner of the goods and a carrier in which the last is obligated and must send the goods to the consignor. A contract bind agreement between two parts. Number one, a consignor may be any person like seller, may be agent, may be company, may be a firm, or owner of the goods. A carrier, any person carry goods, passengers from place to another place, or from the departure and the place of destination. Forward. International, it should to be a seller a country and a transfer. This is goods from the seller to the country of the buyer. The contract of carriage includes the acceptance of the cargo, terminal of the airline cargo, and the place of departure and the physical movement of the goods. It should to movement the goods, physical movement, place of departure, and the last destination by flight, by aircraft, by aeroplane. Now we are talking characteristics of air transport contract. Binding agreement between two parts. Number one, it should consent between the parts or consensual. Commercial characteristic, because all transportation, air transportation, maritime, land, work, all this is according trade law, it, to or making commercial transaction. Also, this is commercial acts. And commitment of both sides, status of complaints, account profile. Now we are explain the parties of international contract carriage by air. Consumer person, maybe seller, maybe owner, or another definition is the person or a firm who delivers a consignment to the carrier for transporting goods to the consignee. Consignee may be a buyer, may be agent, may be the owner, or another meaning is a party named by the consignor in transportation documents. AWB, Airwell Bill. Airwell Bill is the documents to use to make evidence about a consignor or a carrier to deliver or to have the goods. A third of parties of the air transport goods or merchandise. Any merchandise or any goods or protected from manufacturing activities that are going to be traded between parties who has places of business are different countries, or any goods transfer from place to another place, maybe material, maybe goods, maybe vegetables, maybe fruits, like that. Anything, goods or merchandise. Now we are define a carrier. Carrier may be company or the airline company. It provides that company which has issued the airwell bill or which renders any service in relation to this. First definition of this is lecture, we are talking an international air transport by carriage. This is contract have obligation to parties, the carrier and consignor and consignee. Now we are talking general obligation. This is implies two basic surface. The physical movement from place to another place or from destination of departure, from the departure and the arrival. The physical movement of the goods, which involves providing suitable vehicle, carry out transport within the agreed time or filling agreement to the reasonable period and the use of reasonably direct route. الفيزيكال movement الجودز luggage الباكج at to carry this الجودز from place a specific place to a specific another place or the country specific country to another country with reasonable period of time or a specific time or reasonably directed route. Also, the care and reservation of the goods. Fundamental obligation the carrier has to knowledge, to know everything, to know the details, information about the goods, which kind, size, volume, quality, quantity, and plus documents when transferring the goods to the carrier. Obligations of the consignor. Consignor means, again, maybe a seller, maybe firm, maybe an owner of the goods. The essential obligations of the consignor to provide the required information in respect to the precautions needed to the care and preservation of the goods being delivered, and plus to give it the documents related the cargo, everything about the cargo, and plus and or added customs requirement health permits. When we talk about air cargo, generally or normally stood on board aircraft using load units called or means pallets. الباليتس دي it should to be safety, to be levels to put it including everything inside the aircraft, or this is meshes always have the effect of clamping the load in order to prevent moving while away, possibly causing security risk for flight, or again when to carry the goods to put it a special box, it's called the pallets, in order to prevent any movement the goods inside the flight, and also to making or to prevent any causing risk or damage to goods. Second, if the load is not properly packaged, this simple operation can damage of the goods without necessarily can be comprise the liability of the carrier. It should the carrier to put it all the goods in the pallets in order to prevent any damage. Finally, with regard to the obligations of the shipper or consignor, is the made to freight. Now we are talking a legal regime on contracts for international sales of goods by air. So Warsaw Convention 1929. Warsaw Convention 1929 put it principles or rules or instructions about or basic rules of international carriage of goods by air to prevent the goods and passengers, and to put it liability about the carrier. Warsaw Convention 1929 provides a comprehensive structure of a unified liability of regime applicable to claims of international air transport. This is rules or structures. Number one, standards particular to be included to document of carriage. To put it all liability about the carrier at airway bill. Plus the structure to put it or to create a penalty for non-compliance with the particular to be included in the document of carriage. If happen carrier loses monetary cap limiting his liability. Third of this is rules or structures. Set out rules whereby the claimant doesn't need to prove the default of the carrier. Specifies a limit number of defenses to liability for the benefits of the carrier, air carrier. Organize the same rules, the same structures of Warsaw Convention 1929 and put it all liability of the carrier at the document. It's called airwell bill. Montreal Convention 1999 provides that it shall prevail over any rules which apply to international carriage by air. Simplifies the particular to be included. The document of the carriage, however, maintains the penalty of non-compliance. The same rules, the same restriction at Warsaw Convention 1929, the same instructions of Montreal Convention 1999. We will meet you again, new lectures, inshallah. Thank you. Goodbye.